Hey, welcome into Backseat Drivers. I'm Alex Weaver here in Studio 3 with Jonathan and Jesse. It's hard to believe that I'm saying this, but Kevin Harvick and SHR get their first win in 2019.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
You know, if we had come put 2 tires on right there, we're going to start 7th and not win. So we'll either win or we'll fall back to 7th again.
I mean, great call by Rodney, but man, I didn't think it was going to work. I don't think Kevin thought it was going to either.
It was about time, though. That's all I'm saying.
I think that camp was getting a little frustrated. I've talked to you about this before.
Oh, they've been flat pissed off for weeks
Yep.
and weeks and weeks.
Yep. Well, we saw another exciting finish. 2019 has been the year of races and the year of finishes here in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. Denny Hamlin, the strategy in moving him and not wrecking him, I thought that it was going to be a bump and dump. I think that's what he would have had to have done to beat Harvick.
Yeah, well, the main thing is Harvick played that last restart out perfectly.
Your exact words were he was a genius.
It was a genius move. He went to the bottom, so if Denny was going to get around him by using contact, he was going to have to right rear him. He was going to have to put Kevin into the wall. Kevin went low.
We have seen Denny Hamlin do that before.
Yeah, but, I don't think Denny wants any of the repercussions of that. He wanted the win. I think he regretted not roughing Kevin up a little bit more after that race. But Kevin was, Rodney made a genius call. Kevin made a genius call going to the bottom to where he wasn't going to let Hamlin get a clean shot on his back bumper, so it worked out.
Well, I liked it, too, that Harvick said that he didn't necessarily agree with Rodney in that call, and he thought that it was the dumb move, and then obviously it paid off. He gets the win.
Well, it just kind of goes to show what we were saying before. This team, this camp is kind of uneasy about where they're sitting right now, and they're not super confident about anything that they're doing. But I do agree with you. I think that was a genius move, if you want to call it that. I will say, though, we saw that right quarter panel in victory lane. It was roughed up. That move that Hamlin made on Harvick on turn 4, he gave him enough of a nudge there to say that he tried. He gave him an opportunity to make a move to possibly get around him. But I agree. I think he definitely would have had to dump him and risk potentially dumping them both if he had hit him any harder to go for that win.
So if you're in that 11 car, are you bumping a little harder, or do you think it was fair play and that was just good racing?
I think it was fair play, good racing, but I will agree with whoever it was that said that. I do think he might have regretted that on the tail end of it.
Turns 1 and 2, I would have hit Harvick harder, shot him up the racetrack more, got under him, and then, prayed he couldn't get back to my bumper in 3 and 4. I think that was Denny's best shot because Harvick did go low. I will say, in terms of momentum, I think this is a bigger shot in the arm for Rodney as a crew chief. Yeah. Struggled with this aero package a little bit this year. And, he's made
Struggle is an understatement.
He's made a couple of bad calls, and I'm sure he's heard about it from Kevin. And if this hadn't gone right, I'm sure he would have heard about it from Kevin as well. But I think it's, Rodney is a great crew chief. I think not that he needed to have this race go his way, but the fact that, they've made a couple calls, 4 tires, no tires, whatever, earlier in the year. I think he kind of needed this to be like, all right, yeah, I've still got it. We're in good shape. We've got to win. We're getting ready to head into the playoffs. So,
So a less veteran driver in the 4 car, Denny makes a move like that. Do they get spun out, or do we think it's just not hard enough bump and dump?
I don't know. Kevin's mastered the bump and run himself,
he
so he knows what to expect.
He talked about braking and everything else.
He knows what to expect, and he's been at this for a long time, so. It just depends.
Calling him old.
I am calling him old. He knows he's old, but he's with that comes wisdom. He knew what to expect, and he played it perfect.
Yeah, I 100% believe that if there had been a less experienced driver in that 4 car, that we would have seen Denny Hamlin in victory lane. I go back to the damage on the quarter panel. He hit him hard. He gave him a decent bump there, enough to feel like he was racing him hard and be able to walk away from that without too much regret. But I firmly believe that Harvick made a great save there.
Yeah, well, let's talk about not just Kevin Harvick, who won this weekend, but backup cars were kind of the winners of the weekend. It was the storyline that came out of New Hampshire. Ryan Newman, who finished P7 in a backup car. Denny Hamlin, P2, obviously. William Byron, P12. Larson, unfortunately, had a lot of problems on the track that we'll get to later. And then Alex Bowman, who went through about 90 backup cars, he finished his P14th. So 20 people were working on his car by the end of the weekend, including JRM.
Yeah.
Rough weekend.
Bowman was in the car working on that thing too. I think, that blows my mind. That car had not touched the racetrack until Sunday when he rolled off. Mm-hmm. And to bring it home in 14th,
It was a black car. It wasn't even his car.
They were peeling the numbers off of other backup cars. It's just wild.
yeah, I mean they were one step away from going out in the parking lot and finding someone with an actual Camaro to run on that racetrack. I mean, it's just insane to me that a lot of people had that much trouble, and Hendrick really had,
Struggled.
they had a lot of issues. But there's no consolation to not winning. But when your crew can come together once you've qualified, and they're going to have a weekend like that in the playoffs. There's 10 weeks. Odds are they're going to have that. So to get that under your belt and know that you can come out and have an okay day, that's pretty good.
All right, well, let's talk about another storyline that's coming out of this weekend. A little bit of drama, and these are two names that have had a little bit of drama on the track before, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Erik Jones.
He's gotten me a couple times now, so he'll have one coming at some point, when he's trying to make the playoffs. So.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear Jesse's point on this.
Well, I mean, Ricky's a man of his word. We've seen him act on that before. I think Ricky might be a little more frustrated than he needs to be. I'm anxious to.
He has to win.
Exactly. He's feeling pressure, and I don't believe that all of that pressure and frustration is coming directly from Erik Jones. However, Jones might just be the victim of all of this pressure and frustration. But I don't know. I think that we're going to see it play out in the next couple weeks, no doubt.
Yeah, Bristol comes to mind. They're both really good at Bristol. Who has more to lose here? I think it's Erik. Both of these guys are aggressive race car drivers. I think Ricky's probably a little bit more aggressive than Erik is, but Erik's not one to.
Ricky is not one to have friends on the track.
Well, and Erik's the same way, and Erik's not one to back down. If he's not going to lift and let you go by either. It's going to be interesting to me because they both have a tendency to run really well at Bristol. I think that's Erik's best shot to win this year. Other than Talladega, I think it's one of Ricky's only shots to win this year, just given where everyone else's equipment is. So, and Ricky's probably going to have to win to make the playoffs. Erik can point his way in. So, if those two decide not to play nice, Ricky's on the outside looking in. Erik's right now on the inside looking out. Erik's got more to lose. So, maybe avoid the 17.
Well, here's the thing, too. Drivers have a very long memory on track. And I think Ricky is one that when he says it, it's probably going to happen. So if I'm Erik Jones, I have to be a little worried about what could happen at possibly Watkins Glen or Bristol, where they are both very good drivers and have very strong finishes there.
Well, and I have to ask you guys this. I mean, it goes back to that playoff picture. Jones is 28 points above the cut line. He's three places above the cut line. I really believe that he's just trying to kind of continue onward, make his way here in the Cup Series and continue on this upward stride that he's been on. Do we feel like he's meant to cause this kind of, I don't want to call it a rivalry, but cause this frustration amongst Stenhouse? Or do you think he's just kind of a victim of circumstance here and trying to make his way?
I mean, he's got a claw for it. And we all know the summer stretch is where Erik Jones tends to he does his best work over the summer months. And we've seen that the past two seasons, and we've seen a continuation of it this year. So, it is what it is, right? I mean, you got 40 race cars on a mile track. There's not a lot of real estate there.
The thing that worries me for Erik Jones is I think his mindset and that 20 team has kind of transitioned into we just need to survive in advance, finish the races, have as strong as finishes as we possibly can, get as many points each stage that we possibly can. Whereas Stenhouse is kind of a throw a dart at the wall, and I'm going to go after it as hard as I can because I need to win, and I can't point my way in here. So when you have a person that I feel like is on the attack versus the person that's on the defense, the attacker seems to be a little more aggressive.
If Jones sees Ricky, it's going to be in his rearview mirror. I only think it'll be for a couple spots, but I think Jones will be faster than him there.
Okay.
He shouldn't have to worry.
Well, and let's be real. There's going to be a lot of people in that field that are not happy with Stenhouse by the end of the race.
A lot of collateral damage right there.
It's not just, at that point, it's not just a Stenhouse-Jones battle. It's a lot of cars involved.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are 6 races left in the regular season, and we have had quite the playoff picture shakeup. There's been some bubble trouble, if you want to call it. Ryan Newman and Clint Boyer gained a little bit of breathing room here after that race at New Hampshire, and it's a huge day for Ryan Newman. He walks away with a P7 finish, and he is now 21 points above the cut line. But, plot twist, Jimmie Johnson is now 17 points below. How do we feel about that?
I don't know. Jimmie Johnson and Daniel Suarez both are sitting at 17 points below the cut line.
They faded with issues and a wreck, and I felt like the 41.
Well, Jimmie lost power steering, so that's kind of a fluke thing.
Yeah.
He was quick all weekend.
But I feel like it's getting now to the point where you can't have those kind of issues if you're trying to get yourself into the playoffs.
I agree with you.
Like we've reached a point in the season where it's like, ooh, okay, maybe we shouldn't have had these kind of issues. He had no backup car though because he had lent that to a teammate.
Well, I think we can almost look at this as on the flip side of things too and say, I agree with you. We can't continue to see issues like that from these guys that are sitting right outside of the cut line. But from some of these guys that are just above, some of these Ryan Newmans that we mentioned, do we think we can continue to see the same success or average finishes from them to keep them where they're at, or will we start to see some of these names drop off and see the Johnsons and the Suarez move up in the
Newman
place?
has had a handful of top 10s over the last couple of weeks. I mean, the number 6 has showed up.
Yeah, no, he's under the radar, but he's out there. I mean, he's doing Ryan Newman things, right? This is it's just enough to be a thorn in the side of everybody else trying to make it in. It's like when Jimmie doesn't need that 6 car to run well because he loses power steering, guess what? The 6 car goes out and has a solid top 10 day, and he's been doing that. You know, Newman is capitalizing, and he has made Roush Fenway better. I think for right now, you know, points aside, just from what they're doing on the racetrack, the 6 car is now better than the 17. It hasn't been that way for quite a while. So, I mean, Newman's brought a lot to the table over there. I think Roush Fenway zeroing in on their Cup program has brought a lot to the table over there as well. But I don't know. I mean, when I look at the playoff picture, I don't know who's in, who's out. You can't say right now. Jimmie Johnson's on the outside looking in, but Jimmie Johnson's also one of the best to ever do it at Indianapolis. And oh, by the way, that's our cutoff. So, you know, what do you know?
What can happen? All right. Well, we talk about some of those key races. What can be some of those key races that are going to loom for this bubble picture? We have right now it's Kyle Larson in 13th, Erik Jones 14th, Ryan Newman 15th, Clint Boyer 16th. Cutoff line. 17th, Jimmie Johnson. 18th, Daniel Suarez. 19, Paul Menard sneaking his way in there. And 20, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. You mentioned Indy, so that could be a possible good day for the Johnson camp.
Yeah, Jimmy's really good at Indy. I mean, I don't know. I think when I look at the guys that are in, one of the biggest things that pops up for me is Kyle Larson. He's got to end up finishing some of these races. I don't know how he's 13th in points right now because, I mean, that car has left the track on a hook a bunch this year. And other than winning the $1 million in the All-Star race, I mean, you're sitting there scratching your head. I go back to, you know, what he said after Richmond. He's like, this isn't any fun.
No, well, and it's not, they haven't all been driver issues either. They've been, I mean, we've had mechanical issues. We've had car issues. We've had pit road issues. We've had him racing too hard on the racetrack and just spins around. I mean, it has been a handful of different issues for that 42.
Well, and it goes back to what you said too. I mean, he's left the track on the hook many times. If this is just a one race issue, he comes back, finishes a few laps down, I'd have a little more confidence in the 42 team right now. But and we saw 3 or 4 issues yesterday and didn't finish the race as well. I mean, it's just been consistently bad.
Is there a race that he could recover in the last 6 races of the regular
He's got
season?
enough talent. He could win anywhere. And that's the thing. And we know from seeing what Kurt's been able to do behind the wheel of the one, their equipment's been good. The equipment was really good at the beginning of the year.
Larson also does well at Bristol.
Yeah, he's good at Bristol. I mean, I don't think he's going to go out and win Bristol. I just think there are too many people that are just too strong there. The 22, the 4 car's been good there. The 18, the 20.
1.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, and Truex has been really good there as well. I don't know. I think Larson, Newman, and Boyer are who worry me. I think only one of them doesn't make it, and I think Jimmie Johnson does make it in.
Okay.
I'm with you there. I think if I were Larson, you will not see Larson, Newman, and Boyer all in the playoffs, but I think, and I don't know, we were talking about it before, I don't know if it goes back to just a little bit of hopefulness, but I think we could see Boyer in there. He's got to pick it up. We saw.
I've been
issues.
waiting for it. Like
Same.
I've been waiting for that 14th car to. There have been sparks of it, but there's not been a complete race put together by that team to get the win.
Well, and the difference in that team and a lot of other teams that are kind of in the same struggles right now are that I feel like the 14 team still has so much confidence and hope, and they know they're going to get there, that I feel like when they do get there, we're going to really see them kind of come over this hump that they've been in. And maybe that's playoffs. I don't know if that's the time to be doing it, but we'll see.
All right, so now we're going to do something a little bit new here on Backseat Drivers. We're going to play a game that I am going to call green flag or caution. So I'm going to set up some scenarios for you guys. If you agree and think that it happens, you're going to throw out your green flag, and that means that, yes, it's a done deal. If you do not, you're going to throw up your caution flag, and I want you to explain why you pick either a green flag or a caution. All right, ready? Okay, Jesse, I'm going to start with you first. So, number one, does Jimmie Johnson, 7-time champ, does he make the playoffs?
Oh, gosh.
We're going to give her 10 seconds.
All right. I'm going to throw a caution flag on that. Not because I don't think that he makes the playoffs, just because I'm not green flag gun-ho on it. He's still 17 points below the cutoff. And it's like we talked about before, we're going to have to see a lot less mistakes made in the coming weeks, and potentially a win if he's going to lock himself in. But so yellow flag on that, but I still have confidence for the 48 team.
Yes, it's Jimmie Johnson. He's going to make the playoffs.
Green flag?
Yeah, green flag.
Okay. Next scenario. Will players like Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Erik Jones, Clint Boyer win their way in, or is it a points game for those guys?
It's a points game. They're not going to win, so I guess that's a yellow. It's a points game for Jones. Ricky's not going to make it. There we go.
I'll agree with that. I think it's a green flag on Jones. I think he's good to go. I think the other guys are going to have to win if they want in.
All right. Will Kyle Busch win the regular season? Logano leads by 3 points currently.
Yeah, Joey slipped up. I say green flag on Kyle. Joey's been fast, but Kyle's just been really dominant so far this year, in my opinion. So
I agree, and I think that Kyle Busch knows he's in second place right now, and that's if he needed any more momentum or adrenaline or reason to get there, he's got it.
All right. 2 green flags on Kyle Busch. All right. Does this open up the win floodgates for the number 4 team? Green flag or caution? Do the wins keep coming, or is it one and done?
it just depends what you mean by that. Do I think they'll win more than one race this year? Yes, but I don't think the floodgates open. I still think there's a lot to be sorted out over at SHR. I think a good call and good driving by Kevin kept him up front, but I do not think they will be as dominant as Penske or Gibbs.
So caution flag.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to throw a caution on that as well because, when you talk Kevin Harvick and floodgates, I think back to last season and having these 3-4
8
wins in a row.
yeah.
It was wild. I don't feel like with the racing we've seen this season and the teams figuring out the new package that we've seen the same floodgates from any driver, but I do agree with you that we will see the 4 team in victory lane again.
All right. And last one. I know you're going to have to rack your brain a little bit for this one, but is your championship 4 still the same as what you started with at the early part of the season? Green flag or caution?
Oh gosh, what did I even start with at the beginning of this season? This season was so hard to pick to start with
I know.
because of all of the changes. Yeah, I'm still pretty confident. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So green flag on yours.
Green
What
flag
about
on mine.
yours?
I'm going to say yellow flag for me. I don't really remember who I picked. I think I had a Gibbs car, a Penske car. I know I had the 9
I don't know
in
if you
there.
can throw a yellow flag out when you don't remember.
Well, I know I had the 9 in the final 4, and I'm going to have to take him out. They just haven't been running well the past couple of weeks. So on account of that, I'm going to have to say no. My picks are dead wrong.
All right. We're going to huddle up and work on the 10-second rule with these two because y'all wrote a book about your picks. But anyways, green flag or caution, we're going to continue that next week as well. We have 6 races left in the regular season, and we are heading to the Tricky Triangle, and then we are going road course racing. It is bound to be an exciting couple of weeks in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. Thanks for tuning in. Myself, Jonathan, and Jesse, we're here at Backseat Drivers, and we'll see you guys next week.